The stage is set for a fiery clash at a judicial reform panel where tensions are already high. Former Florida Attorney General Pam Bondi, known for her sharp tongue, steps up to the podium. Her target, Congresswoman Jasmine Crockett, a rising star from Texas with a reputation for bold, no-nonsense rhetoric. The room buzzes with anticipation as Bondi prepares to unleash her critique. Bondi doesn't hold back, calling Crockett unqualified to weigh in on judicial matters. She paints Crockett as out of her depth, questioning her legal expertise and congressional track record. The crowd murmurs, some nodding in agreement, others visibly bristling. Bondi's words are calculated, aiming to undermine Crockett's credibility in front of this influential audience. Crockett, seated in the front row, listens intently, her expression unreadable. Bondi's accusations are a direct challenge, implying Crockett's presence on the panel is more about politics than substance. The jab stings, but Crockett's history suggests she's not one to back down. Her supporters in the room exchange glances, waiting for her response. As Bondi concludes, Crockett rises, her posture confident, her eyes locked on the audience. She adjusts the microphone, pausing for effect, letting the tension build. The room falls silent, sensing a storm is coming. Crockett's reputation for delivering sharp, fact-driven retorts precedes her, and she's ready to prove Bondi wrong. Crockett begins by addressing Bondi's unqualified remark head-on. "Let's talk qualifications," she says, her voice steady but laced with fire. She lists her law degree, her work as a public defender, and her time in the Texas legislature. Each point lands like a hammer, dismantling Bondi's narrative with precision and poise. She pivots to Bondi's record, questioning her opponent's tenure as Florida's AG. Crockett highlights cases where Bondi faced criticism for cozying up to corporate interests. "If we're measuring qualifications, let's look at who's served the people versus who's served the powerful," she says, drawing applause from her supporters. The audience leans in as Crockett digs deeper, citing Bondi's controversial decision to drop a Trump University investigation. She frames it as a pattern of prioritizing politics over justice. The room crackles with energy. Some attendees shift uncomfortably, while others nod in agreement with Crockett's bold accusations. Crockett doesn't stop there. She contrasts her grassroots advocacy with Bondi's establishment ties. "I've fought for the marginalized, for those the system overlooks," she declares, her voice rising. She references her work on criminal justice reform, connecting it to the panel's theme. The crowd's energy shifts in her favor. Bondi, still on stage, tries to interject, but Crockett's command of the moment is unshakable. She calmly but firmly asks for her time to speak, earning respect for her composure. The moderator nods, allowing Crockett to continue. Her ability to stay poised under pressure is winning over even the skeptics. Crockett then turns the tables, questioning Bondi's motives for the attack. "Why call me unqualified? Is it because I challenge the status quo?" she asks. She suggests Bondi's jab is less about credentials and more about silencing a vocal critic of entrenched power. The accusation lands hard, sparking whispers among the audience. The Congresswoman weaves in her personal story, sharing her journey from humble beginnings to Congress. She talks about overcoming barriers as a black woman in politics, a narrative that resonates deeply. "I'm not here by accident," she says. "I'm here because I've earned it." The room erupts in applause, her authenticity undeniable. Crockett shifts to policy, outlining her vision for judicial reform with clarity. She advocates for equitable sentencing and transparency in the courts, drawing on her legal experience. Her command of the issues undercuts Bondi's claim that she's unqualified. The audience takes note of her substantive points. She then calls out Bondi's selective outrage, pointing to the AG's silence on systemic issues in the justice system. "Where was this energy when black and brown communities faced unfair sentencing?" Crockett asks. Her question hangs in the air, forcing the room to confront uncomfortable truths about bias in the system. Crockett's momentum builds as she cites statistics on incarceration rates and judicial disparities. Her data-driven approach silences critics who might dismiss her as purely rhetorical. She's not just passionate, she's prepared, and the audience can feel the weight of her expertise. Bondi's earlier confidence seems to waver as Crockett dominates the stage. The former AG shifts in her seat, her expression tightening. Crockett's ability to blend personal narrative with policy substance is proving formidable, and Bondi's initial attack now feels like a miscalculation. Crockett pivots to the broader stakes of the panel, framing judicial reform as a moral imperative. She speaks of families torn apart by unfair systems, her voice carrying raw emotion. "This isn't about me or Ms. Bondi," she says. "It's about justice for those who've been failed." The crowd is riveted. She circles back to Bondi's unqualified jab, turning it into a rallying cry. "If being unqualified means fighting for the voiceless, then I'll wear that label proudly," she declares. The line draws cheers, with some audience members standing in support. Crockett's passion is infectious. Crockett then challenges Bondi directly. "If you think I'm unqualified, bring your case to the people." She gestures to the audience, inviting them to judge her record. It's a bold move, putting Bondi on the defensive and reinforcing Crockett's connection with the crowd. The Congresswoman doesn't let up, questioning Bondi's alignment with powerful interests. She references Bondi's ties to Trump, suggesting a pattern of loyalty to individuals over principles. The audience murmurs, sensing the weight of Crockett's critique. It's a risky but calculated move. Crockett softens momentarily, acknowledging the importance of healthy debate. "We can disagree, but let's do it with facts, not insults," she says. The olive branch shows her maturity, earning nods from moderates in the room who value civility alongside conviction. She then doubles down on her reform agenda, proposing specific policies like implicit bias training for judges. Her ideas are practical yet bold, showing she's not just reacting but leading the conversation. The audience scribbles notes, impressed by her vision. Crockett addresses the unqualified label one last time, framing it as an attack on her identity. "They call me unqualified because I don't look like them or think like them," she says, pointing to systemic bias in politics. The room grows quiet, her words resonating deeply. She closes by rallying the audience to demand accountability in the justice system. "This isn't about one panel or one comment, it's about building a system that works for everyone," she says. Her call to action is clear, urgent, and inspiring, leaving the crowd energized. As Crockett finishes, the room erupts in applause, louder than before. Even some of Bondi's supporters clap, unable to deny Crockett's command of the moment. The Congresswoman sits, her expression calm but triumphant. Having turned the attack into a defining moment, Bondi, visibly rattled, tries to respond but struggles to regain the narrative. Her rebuttal feels flat, overshadowed by Crockett's powerful performance. The audience's attention remains with the Congresswoman, who's proven she's far from unqualified. The moderator steps in, trying to move the panel forward, but the energy has shifted. Crockett's response has redefined the conversation, making her the standout of the event. Her supporters beam with pride, while others whisper about her rising influence. As the panel wraps, attendees approach Crockett, thanking her for her courage. Social media lights up with clips of her response, going viral within hours. Pundits call it a career-defining moment, proof that Crockett is a force to be reckoned with. Backstage, Crockett reflects on the exchange, knowing she's turned a challenge into an opportunity. Bondi's unqualified jab has backfired, elevating Crockett's profile. The Congresswoman smiles, ready for the next fight, confident in her voice and her mission.